You're not making less, it's just worth less. Let me explain. Inflation isn't the increase of prices, it's the decrease in value of your money. The easiest way I can show you how inflation works really is taking it and showing you like it's a pie. Say you have a piece of the pie and it looks like this. That's what your pie slice is. It's pretty decent. You got about a quarter of the pie, a third of the pie, whatever it is like there. But after a couple of years, your slice stays the same, but the pie increases. This ultimately results in you getting proportionally less of the pie than you did in year one. Now, when we take it to year 20, your slice still stays the same, but when you look at how big the rest of the pie is, you're getting barely anything. I don't know about you, but I love my pie. At any given time, there is a certain amount of money in circulation. Let's call it X. The thing about this number, it's always changing. Money's being created, money's being destroyed, usually more money being created than there is destroyed. What you have is a part of X, or in other words, you have 1 over X. Now, the main reason that your money is worth less is because X is increasing every single year. They print more money every single year while you still make the same amount of money on a year-to-year basis. Let's say we start off at 1 over 10. Let's say you have 10%. That comes out to be 10% of all the money in the United States. Nobody has that much, but let's just imagine that that's how it works. Let's say that next year you make the same amount of money, that 1, but they increase the supply by 1. So now you have the same amount of money, but now it's 1 over 11. Instead of 10%, now you have 9%. You didn't make less money, but it's worth less. Now, this happens year over year over year, and eventually, you go from 1 over 10 to 1 over 100. That 10% is now 1%. You can't do as much with 1% as you could with 10%. That's why when we look at prices from 2002 to 2008, all the prices were like, damn, everything was cheap. Everything was always cheaper back then. Yeah, it was, but there were also not as much money in the world. Now, the way that this relates back to you is because you're still making your your one salary over, let's say it's still at 100. Businesses still need to make the same relative profit margins, so they increase, let's say, the price of salad. Say when we were at this price was, $5. For them to make a good profit, they still have to increase the price of that. Although you're making the same amount of money, the amount of money that you give them is not worth the same as it was in this situation. Your money worth less. To make up for this, things cost goes up. Now, while you're making the same amount of money, things will go up in price so that businesses can continue to make a profit. Instead of the salad, let's think of something like the $5 footlong from Subway. That $5 footlong was a fantastic deal. Every day you could get a $5 12-inch sandwich. They don't offer that anymore. Now, I believe the price has gone to like $8.99. Now they have the $5 6-inch. So you're getting half the amount of food for the same price that you paid 20 years ago to get, double the amount of food. Businesses stay on top of inflation by increasing their prices so that they can keep the margins. If they don't increase their prices, they don't make money. So this automatically feels like you're losing money because you're making the same amount, but everything's costing you more. And in your mind, you're like, what's going on? Why isn't my money going the same distance as it did before? What's the solution? What can we do to fix this? How can you set yourself up to battle inflation so it doesn't feel so drastic and like it's pulling and choking you out and taking your money from you? Making more money sounds easier than it actually is. It requires either a lot of skill or a lot of extra time. You can trade in your time to get another job, a second job that you work on the weekends to stack in some additional cash. Or you could become more qualified or more skilled where you increase the amount of money that you make at your current job with a promotion, maybe a new role, a new department. You take on, more responsibility that leads you to be more valuable and make people pay you more. Everybody's heard about investing. Everybody's heard about putting the money into the market. Whatever could happen, you can make money, lose money, whatever happens, happens. But when you take into account the probability of you making money in the market, it is a smart idea. This isn't financial advice, but over the 60 or 70 years, we have seen about a 10% increase in the S&P 500. That 10% is gonna fight off the 5% minus 5% of inflation, which gives you a plus 5% money. Now, investing is a hard choice because it requires you giving up money now to fight off the loss of money in the future. Not everybody is comfortable giving whatever money they have on them so that they can feel better in the future. Some people live bill to bill, check to check, where they can survive only if they do this and can't really spare a couple extra dollars every week or month. The harsh truth about this is that inflation is only going to keep going. It's not like inflation is going to stop. There have only been a few years where inflation really hasn't played a role, or no prices went up, and you can't count on this to save you. You have to be prepared for the unpreparable. You need to have an emergency fund ready for you in case anything happens, or just have enough money flowing in that you're always net cash positive. No matter what solution you think works best for you, you really have to figure out, what does your plan look like? What does your 10-year goal look like? 20-year goal look like? Is the amount of money that you're making today going to be enough to survive for you and a family? Or is it just going to be you? Are you going to be traveling? How do you want to be living? You have to take into account that world events happen. You can't prepare for events because you don't know what will happen. You can't stop inflation. It's out of your control. But what you can do is prepare and stay educated. Understand your situation and understand what you can do to make sure that you're in a great spot where you could take a hit and recover and still launch forward.